So, this has been heavy on me for a few days now. I watched a video of, um, you guys, this is all new to me. Okay, this is not something I ever saw myself doing. I was not trying to start a YouTube channel. I'm trying to leave messages for my kids in the event of my death that there's something left of me for them. Okay, I'm obviously not dead. So, there goes that notion. But, I've been like YouTube tarot readers and so like I never bothered with any of this. It was all like chakras, new age hippie, like it's a fad. It's like my entire life has changed. My entire life is and I've gone to church. I've been in church more often than not for the last 14 years. And there's God is definitely in a lot of this. God is definitely in a lot of this. But this is not Sunday. Put your best, Sunday church clothes on and go to church on Sunday. And this is life as I've never known it before. And I'm about to be 41 in a couple of months. So I have a couple of YouTube tarot readers and a couple of people that I've been just kind of following. And it's not something that I want to get into because of what I've seen and learned from my own experience on this journey, how easy it is to manipulate people. And people are hurting, people are desperate. How easy it is to manipulate people. And you give somebody a word that's not correct and they act on that word that's not correct, and you can really jack up their lives. And I don't want to be responsible for that. So I am not, going near tarot cards or, trying to, I'm almost like nervous to even use my prophetic gifts, if this is what you call this, because I still don't, there's a lot I still don't know. There's people that know that I have gifts and probably know more than I do about my own self, which is, thank God for mercy and grace. I just say that. So anyway, so I want to send shout outs to you guys. You don't even know you're my friends, but my friend Philosophical. I want to send out to Ascent 1111. You guys are who are you now? The twin flame readers. You weren't twin flame readers, and I fell off when everything got too like twin flamey because I'm trying to figure out my own self. But oh my goodness, Grace, fiery Grace, I love you, and I love and Mr. Lightwork. I love the positive and the positive vibes you guys bring to the table, the encouragement, the uplifting, the purpose behind what it is that you're doing. I love that, and that's helped me through. And Stephanie, you're somebody that has just started showing up on my feed, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, I have conversations with you, you don't even know this. And you did a video recently you did a video on wanting the villain to win. And I was sitting here like, I know, that's how I feel. I thought everybody was like this. I didn't think it was just me. I thought, everybody goes through these moments where, and not just we're not talking about the vigilante. We're not talking about the people who are going after the bad guys because they're bad guys. We're talking about the actual bad guys. And so this whole conversation came up, and God was showing me some things through your video that I've been given a heart for certain things. And it's not just a matter of wanting the villain to win. It's that understanding the difference between this is somebody's behavior. This is somebody's done some real messed up stuff. They've done some real bad stuff. But also the things that God has shown me about how hurting people hurt people. I don't know. I'm making a video, honey. How God has shown me some things about how behaviors are usually trauma responses or just ignorance, or spawned, behaviors are spawned by emotions, things that people do. There was a podcast that was on the other day that these guys were talking about, what somebody would offer you $10,000 and just a random person had to die, though. They're going to kill a random person and you get $10,000 dropped in your bank account. Would you agree to that? And how many people said, yeah, hell yeah, not knowing who they were killing or who that random person would be for that amount of money. And these are crazy times. And of course, my friend Stephanie knows that God has given us hearts to see other things about people. And I posted this recently because it was an article I read about love brings forth anything unlike itself. And this meant a lot to me because it's basically saying that when you're exposed to a frequency, now love is a frequency, and choices come from, love is not, just ooey gooey love feeling like infatuation and lust and no. Love is a lot deeper than that. But people have a heart to love people. When you're exposed to the presence of true love, whether it be through a person and an event or a thing that just, it tips something. We're energetic beings, and it hits something in your energy. And all of a sudden, your behaviors, and I didn't know anything about this stuff, but I do remember there being a point in time when, like, oh my God, I did that because I would never do something like that. I would never sit in front of my husband and send another text message to a man saying that I would, like, drunk and blacked out nonetheless, but I would never send a message to another man right in front of my husband telling another man that I wanted to sleep with him while my husband's like, I wouldn't behave like that. That's not me. Like, there were things that I was doing that were not me because I wouldn't be so bold. Even if I felt that way, even if I thought that way, I wouldn't be so bold to let anybody know that I was thinking or thinking. There were things I was doing that I couldn't, like, this is so out of character for me. I cannot understand my behavior right now. It was a few months later when I was led to find this article that explains that if you're exposed to the presence of real love, of true unconditional love, anything in your being, in your psyche, in your spirit that's not like that is going to come out. And it's going to spew like vomit, and you're going to look fucking demonic, and your behavior is going to be fucking whack. God knows these things. God knows this is a real fucking thing. I didn't know this was a thing. Who would have thought? I thought, well, if you are around somebody that loves you, then aren't you just happy and No. Apparently, you go pretty psycho for a little bit there when you've never known real love and it touches you. And these are just behaviors. So those behaviors look like this person's crazy, or this person's selfish, this person's narcissistic, this person is, trauma response, this person is having a bad day, this person can't, just brain fog. Oh, and then there's, you ever watch those aliens inside of us episodes where like this person could have a brain parasite, like they could be acting funky because there's a brain. I don't know why people behave the way they behave. And finally, I figured out it's not my job to figure that out either. Whether their intent was to harm me or not, maybe there was just a misunderstanding. Maybe somebody was told a lie to think something or say something about me. Maybe this person just doesn't like me. And guess what? I don't want to be liked by everybody. I am one of those people. You either like love me or you hate me. Like, I get it. I can be really annoying. I can be really fucking annoying. So behaviors were a thing. When we talk about villain, who is the villain? Because then I saw the movie Joker, and that movie had such an impact on me that I'm still I still like think about this on a daily basis. That like, yeah, if you were that man, you would want everybody to die. If you were that man, you were told you were stupid your whole life and you were really a genius, you would want to, I'm going to prove you fucking wrong. I get it. One time, about homegrown terrorists. How do you think they're born? How do you think they're made? Somebody slaps a label on you as a child. You're antisocial personality disorder. No, you're not. People say that if somebody calls you stupid long enough, you start to believe them, and you start to believe them, you start to behave that way and act that way. So we're talking about villains, and sometimes you want the villains to win. No, I don't want them to win in their because there's a justice that needs to be done for them too. Maybe they've been demonized. Maybe they've been vilified by some outside forces. Maybe they're not a villain at all. But somebody else has made them out to be something they're not. Or wanted them to believe that, hey, as long as I make you out to be the bad guy, I can look good. And I see a lot of that. There's a lot of times I want the villain to win. And I just thought it was like, it's almost like, you don't want to admit that. You're like, oh, you're not supposed to admit you want the bad guy to win, but like, I kind of want this guy to, like for whatever reason. And I'm completing a cycle in my own growth, maturity, spiritual, because I started this out with, I'm angry at men. I've taken a lot out on men because I've hung out with some real jerks of men. I've seen some real nasty stuff come out of them. And you got to get to you have to draw boundaries. You have to say that, like, I can't put myself in positions to be hurt or taken advantage of, or, to be, criminalized, but at the same time, I'm really glad that I understand that I am free and I am sovereign. I'm allowed to feel however I want to feel about whoever I want to feel about. My feelings towards somebody are not predicated on their feelings towards me, whether they like me or they hate me. One of the most freeing things I could say is, hey, listen, I know that you hate me, but I love you. I know that you can't stand me, but I love you. You don't owe me anything. That's just how I feel. And you're allowed to feel how you feel, and I'm allowed to feel how I feel. And there's freedom in that. Because there's a fear that says that if I tell you I love you, if you don't love me, well, then I'm screwed. I'm fucked somehow. I'm stupid somehow. I'm an idiot. No. No. That's foolish thinking. You can hurt me until I'm blue in the face. You have. A lot of people have. And you know what? I will still love them. Because there's things about them that I admire or respect. I think the world needs more of. So these bad guys that do some real bad shit, I've been able to see some of them, really see some of them. Dude, yeah, you've done some real bad shit. But I've been told that God's grace is sufficient for you and for anybody. And if I can believe that for anybody, then I have to be able to walk up to somebody who has murdered somebody and say, I believe that God's grace is sufficient for you. That you did something, but guess what? God gave you free will. And I don't know how all this works, because there's a hell and there's a place where bad people go. But at the same time, I don't think you have an abortion and go to hell. In fact, I don't think when God says hate the sin, not the sinner, God is able to separate a person's behavior from who and what a person is. And just because people have some shitty behaviors doesn't mean that that's all they are. I know some guys that have done some real shitty things. And I want to hate men. And I want to be one of those, I'm a lesbian because I can't stand men. No. I want real balance. I want real equality. Fuck this feminist bullshit. Half of this is crap that women are being fed and they're buying it up like it's... No, that's not feminist. Telling a man that because you don't have a vagina and you don't have ovaries, you don't even have a right to speak on this issue. Really, that's equality? That's not equality. That's you overcorrecting. And in fact, I've been longing to say this to women for a very long time, because it's the whole birthing and babies is it's the proverbial equal to the men's pissing contest. Okay? Well, you had an abortion. I had my baby. So you're going to hell. Well, you didn't have your baby. You had a C-section. That's not labor. That's not giving birth. You had a C-section. I gave birth. I had a baby out of my vagina. Oh, but you used the drugs. You took the drugs. That's nothing. I had my baby naturally, all naturally. I could stand the pain. Your birthing experience wasn't as good as mine. Well, it gets really good. It gets really good. Well, so now you've had the drugs. You're not worthy. But you're all natural. So now you're worthy because you withstood the pain. Okay, well, then here comes, well, you've birthed 5 kids you can't afford. So now you've got mama raising babies. She doesn't have the money to afford, but yet she's better than the mother that had the abortion. That may have known better, that I can't afford this financially, mentally, physically, emotionally. I'm just going to have the abortion. No, this woman is like, I can't have an abortion. That's against God's will. I'm going to hell. So I'm going to birth 5 babies that I can't afford and let the government pay for them. And then the next woman is like, well, you got 5 babies from 5 different daddies. La, 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 la. You're breastfeeding. No, you're bottle feeding. Listen to these women talk. It's all of it is a form. It's all an excuse to judge one another under some umbrella that this is sisterhood. And half of it's bullshit. Just because I'm a woman, I'm not jumping on that train. No. And this woman had the nerve to say that. See, in New York, Medicaid can pay for abortions. Apparently, this isn't like, because my friend from Virginia, her jaw hit the floor when I said Medicaid paid for an abortion. She's like, you would never hear such thing in Virginia. Yeah. So my 14-year-old can walk into an abortion clinic, get an abortion, not tell anybody, does not need parental consent. Okay. So you're telling me that because you're afraid that the parents might abuse the child, or that they might take their anger out on the kid for being pregnant, but whoever got my 14-year-old pregnant, statutory rape, they walk. If it wasn't actual rape, they still walk. If my daughter's hooked on drugs and has had 6 abortions, because I know somebody that was hooked on drugs and had 6 abortions covered by Medicaid, we're not going to deal with the addiction. We're not going to deal with the men that you're surrounding yourself with. We're not going to deal with your trauma from these abortions. No, we're just going to make sure everybody gets paid. Come back. Like when I called the abortion clinic when I was pregnant with my first one, 16-year-old chomping on some gum. We get repeat customers all the time, baby. How is my body going to be affected when I really want to have a baby? Oh, don't worry about it. We get repeat customers all the time. Repeat customers. Abortion is an industry, not a feminist rights issue. But go ahead, keep telling yourselves that, because you want to say leave the men out of the conversation. That's what's been happening. This has been happening. And the women are the ones that carry that cross, and we carry it alone, and we have for a very long time. Men have a right to speak. And if they're not educated, then they need to talk even more. But they at least need to be heard. Because if there's a baby in your belly, 50% of that baby belongs to somebody else. And just because it's your body doesn't give you the right to say that he doesn't have a right to speak. I don't know what to say. I don't know what the right... Well, you know what? Let them talk. Because, yeah, there are a lot of women that use pregnancy to trap men. And that's not okay either. Or some of men really do want to keep the babies, and the women don't want to keep them. Don't ignore them. Don't tell them that they have less rights than a slave woman did when slavery was a thing. Invite them to the conversation. Let these guys that have 10 kids by 10 different women, hold them accountable and responsible. Single moms that are struggling. Maybe she didn't have the abortion because she was afraid she was going to go to hell, but she knew that she didn't have the support for financially, emotionally, spiritually. Don't judge a woman. Give her a freaking ride to the grocery store. Do something. Put your damn signs down, because Jesus is not standing outside an abortion clinic protesting. You won't find Jesus there. Jesus is out on the streets. He's being the comforter. He's being the provider. He's being the protector. What are you doing in his name? You're his arms and his legs and his hands. Let the laws be the laws. You deal with God's children and you show them God. These are heart issues. You cannot expect government to handle heart issues the way that God and Jesus do. And if they don't know Jesus, it's because you are not showing the world who Jesus is with your signs and your protests and your judgment and your criticism. No. Women who have abortions will not go to hell. In fact, the Bible has some things to say about working and society. And if you're not going to work, then calling people lazy for not working and contributing to society. Do you think that if you learned about God's principles and money, do you think that God would tell a woman, now this is a woman that does not know God, okay? Because she's going by logic. A woman who does not know God is living by logic and not faith. And her logic says, I cannot financially afford a child. My president is on the nightly news saying that pregnant women are a liability to companies and corporations. And I want a career. Everything in society tells this woman, you should have an abortion. So she's, okay, I'm going to have an abortion. God is not sending you to hell for that, honey. Sorry. Not my God. He knows better. Who are the villains? Who are the real villains? We don't know. And we won't be able to tell just by behaviors and actions. So yeah, I want the good guys. I want some of these guys with some real shitty behaviors. I see some very respectable, honorable qualities about them that are like, thank you, Jordan Peterson, for asking the question, where are our men? We have these, they're afraid to show emotions. They don't know how to, relate to us anymore because they're afraid of us and we're afraid of them, or we think they're assholes. Like, this whole game is it's just ridiculous. We're looking for our men, not versions of toxic masculinity. I'm learning that my job as a woman is to recognize in you, I'm talking to the men of my life, the ones that I call douche tools. And I'm wrong for that because I get mad and like, you're just fucking douche tools and I fucking hate you. And no, I'm wrong in that. Because my job as a woman is to acknowledge the honorable in you, to recognize the divine masculine in you, that is a leader, that is a protector, that is a provider, that is willing to, like I said to Adam earlier, the man that won't take a bribe because it will bring shame to his whole family. The man that went off on me because I got put myself out of place and put somebody's personal business, a woman's personal business, a woman's personal struggle, because I couldn't figure out where I stood somewhere, and I was holding emotions that I didn't know what to do with. And so I was like, well, I've got to just be angry at this girl because it's, and, and, and I did something really wrong and put a woman's personal struggles on display. And the man that went off on me, because it was wrong, outright wrong, but it was the man in him, the respectable, honorable man, that was offended seeing somebody he loved, seeing her personal struggles put on public display. And I was more like, I knew I was wrong. But I was more like, wow, that's genuine. That's honor right there. I wasn't upset at him for going off on me. In fact, I got very jealous because I was married to a man that doesn't give a shit about things like that. Honor and respect mean different things to different people. So you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. You've got to be your own man, not a puppet on a string. Never compromise what's right and uphold your family name. You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Yeah, these guys are douchebags. They do some real douchey shit. But there's men in there that are compassionate and honorable, respectable. And those men need to be recognized and nurtured and brought out and brought to life. People might not recognize them because they're rare these days. Or we just don't recognize honorable and respectable anymore. Stephanie, when God made me, He gave me His heart. And the more I grow and the more I mature and the more I resemble and become like my Father in heaven, I see these things. We want the villain to win because we understand that the villain is relative. God only knows how he got that way. God only knows his intentions. But God knows that there is qualities and aspects of that villain that are worthy of love and are worthy of loving. And maybe the things that make that guy the villain are going to make him the warrior in the end. The qualities that he's good at using as a villain can be turned around and used for good on this earth. And I think that ultimately when we're pulling for the villain, that's what we're pulling for. Because villains they're powerful. They're smart. They're sly. They are effective. They're persuasive. They are conniving. Those qualities used I want those guys to play for my team. I want those guys on my team. Fighting for the light, fighting for love, fighting for restoration of balance, divine balance, and sacred relationship. You can't tell me that by shutting men up and shutting them out, that's we're fighting for equality. That's not equality. That's not equality. And you will never gain back what women lost by shutting men out of this deal. We need them. We need them. We were made for them, and they were made for us. We're just lost. Love is always worth fighting for. I hope we all win.